Harivasara Bhakti Janani Madhavatithi Shri Ekadashi Vrata ki Jai Ho. Today is a very special Ekadashi where we fast fully without any food or water as well. Nirjala Pandav Ekadashi. So if we fast on this day, you actually get the benefit of fasting on all the Ekadashis in case you've missed some, because it is difficult sometimes to follow all the Ekadashis. But I wanted to share a little bit of my story, my journey on Ekadashi, because it's been very transformational. I have been following Ekadashi my whole life, being born into a Vaishnava family. But, I've had my struggles, especially the last 10 years when I started having children, getting pregnant and breastfeeding. It's very difficult to not be absolutely famished in the morning. Like Bhimji is known as Vrikodara, one who cannot control the pangs of the stomach, the belly, who has a very, very powerful hunger. I used to feel like that every morning. Come down and I'd have to eat immediately. So Ekadashis were a very difficult time. But slowly and steadily, there was a shift. There's a shift. And I want to share that journey with you because it has been really just life-changing. I would say in the last year or so, after we started doing some Ekadashi Kirtans online and sharing with you all, maybe we gained some mercy from Ekadashi Devi herself. And Sri Krishna must have been pleased because all of a sudden I was able to do the Ekadashis and not just Ekadashi normal by fasting from grains, but the last year I've managed to do the Ekadashi Nirjala on every Ekadashi, which has, wow, I don't know where to begin. I shouldn't even be sharing this technically because from the Vedic perspective and philosophy, as soon as you start sharing your accomplishments as such, especially spiritual accomplishments, immediately that Sukriti kind of drops. You almost lose that ability to have that spiritual growth because in reality, we are not the doers. It is not Kishori Jani who has done a year of Pandav Nirjala Ekadashi on every Ekadashi. That's not what's happened. What's happened is somehow, by some great mercy of the Vaishnavas and Sri Hari, have managed to do a bit of tapasya on these Ekadashis. And I really want to share it despite the risk that I might lose that ability because, it's too good not to share. I would say the first and foremost, even if you don't believe in the absolute spiritual potency of Ekadashi, I mean, it's described that no one can fully comprehend, no one can fully, even the Lord himself cannot fully glorify the power of the Ekadashi Vrata. It is the most potent of all the Vratas that exists. It can wipe out all of our sinful activities. Not just that, it cleanses our material desires and brings us closer to Krishna himself. So I'm not going to start trying to enumerate all the glories of Ekadashi, really. But even just on a most mundane level, I remember the first Nirjala that I did after so many years, last year when I did it. And you wake up in the morning, you barely sleep because it's hard to fall asleep. But I remember waking up and I could smell things that I have not smelt in a long time. Everything, the flowers smelled different, and the food, like whatever I was about to put in my mouth, was like, all of a sudden I can smell it. And I had watermelon in the morning, and it was just an indescribable sensual explosion because for 24 hours the senses were completely subdued and under control. So there's this clarity that you get when actually we control the senses. They become much more pure. They get cleansed. And so they can actually do their job better. We get so used to eating so much food, overeating for so long that it almost loses its purpose. It loses its ability to actually taste. We're overworking our digestive system so much that we actually lose the ability to digest. So over the year, I've noticed not just that I'm enjoying my food better, but I'm able to control that I don't overeat. My digestion is just so much easier. I'm talking about the most mundane level here. Even if you don't believe in the spiritual aspects, you should really try to do Ekadashi, because it will help our health, our overall material, mundane, physical health. My skin is better. My memory has gotten better. These might seem very silly things, but if you're familiar with the baby brain or this memory fogginess, giving your body complete rest every 15 days, it really resets the whole system. And it's beyond essential. Even scientifically, it's proven that if you fast regularly, the length of your telomeres increases. We actually live longer. That's the complete mundane level. And a little bit deeper, if you go into the spiritual level, I can notice very, very subtly, I haven't reached the full potential for this, but my tolerance level, when you fast and you exercise this control over your tongue and over your urges, over your mind, it's mind over matter. When you exercise this control, you actually, it's easier to be more tolerant with others and speak what is most relevant, not just, sometimes we think I'm just going to say the truth, even if it hurts everyone. But to have really good and kind speech is very difficult. And it was difficult for me. I'm saying it's still difficult. But I noticed that my speech is able to transform. I'm able to be more mindful of how I speak, whether it's truthful, whether it's, I have a long way to go. But there's inner transformation that can happen if we allow the time for ourselves to, close down the senses. Upavasa, meaning we kind of take ourselves away from all the externals and go deeper within, go closer to Krishna. You just take that moment to associate with something more meaningful. So on a spiritual level, I can say my tolerance, I'm more mindful of how I speak. Not just mindful, I'm actually able to change it. I know many times in the past I'd be like, I don't want to always say what I think, or I shouldn't. But it's hard to control that. There's so many anarthas in us. That's just my particular one I'm sharing, but there may be any kind of anarthas in us that we cannot shift. We cannot move it because it's almost impossible, really, to transform ourselves from within, to change. But doing Ekadashi, or this kind of tapasya, it is our own personal power of manifestation. We can actually, by doing this tapasya, Krishna gives us the power to change, to create that shift, so that we can chant more purely, so that we can do our sadhana more purely. But that tapasya itself of not eating, not engaging in our usual material routine is essential. We must be undertaking some voluntary austerity for that transformation to happen. So that's on a more spiritual level, and then if we want to go higher, if we want to go on a deeper level than that, definitely feel a transformation in when you do chant, to actually have an inclination, a natural inclination to be around sadhus, to associate with devotees, and to actually partake in that seva, to chant, to have sang kirtan. It's become so much easier. That can be such a struggle sometimes. I don't want to do it. I don't want to go there. I don't want to hang out with those people. I mean, I'm talking about devotees. Sometimes our mind can make it very difficult. But if we want to be closer to Krishna, Ekadashi is like a real spiritual wholesale concession. Srila Prabhupada describes it as a concession that we should really take advantage of. we can't fully fathom the transformational power, but we can start to experience it ourselves if we take this opportunity. So I really hope that I'm able to share a little glimpse of the glories of Ekadashi as opposed to tooting my own horn. That's not the agenda here. So if you are able to see the glories of Ekadashi, then maybe I won't get the sin of sharing my tiny little spiritual experience here with Pandam Nirjala Ekadashi. Hope you have a most blessed Ekadashi, and I pray that everybody can experience the absolute wonderful transformational power. And it's not, actually, the point is not that everyone should do Nirjala Ekadashi. It's described that even if you do a half-day fast, or you fast until the evening and eat once a day, that's also just as powerful for the person who has health issues, or if you're pregnant, or for children. I was reading that somewhere that from the age of 8 till 80, that's absolute essential, that we should be following Ekadashi. But we take into consideration our own bodily situation. We have to be smart about it. So please don't do Ekadashi if you're going to end up, bedridden, or, don't do Nirjala Ekadashi if you're going to end up in a hospital somewhere, or be bedridden like I used to be if I was pregnant. We don't want to burden ourselves and harm ourselves. But Krishna is very kind. He sees any small endeavor that we do, even if we can just fast for half a day, that will be transformational for us. So please bless me that I can continue to do the Ekadashi, because if I lose the ability because of sharing this, that would be truly unfortunate for me. Happy Pandam Nirjala Ekadashi to you all.